How's it going, Stephanie?
I'm well, how are you?
Thanks for coming on the show.
Of course.
So this is our third episode of the Baseline podcast in 2026, brought to you by Athletes for Israel. You know, we just started this new production for the new year, and what we love to do is talk about overseas basketball. You know, we always say every single week, every athlete's story is so unique, and they play all over the world, and the ball can really take you everywhere. So we're so excited to hear your journey, and thank you for coming on the show.
For sure, excited for it.
Thank you. So first we're going to introduce you a little bit to our listeners. So you're from New York originally, but then you moved to North Carolina. There you went to Weddington High School, McDonald's All-American. If I'm not mistaken, you were 21st in the country ranked, coming out of high school, which is incredible. North Carolina Gatorade Player of the Year, already accolade after accolade coming through high school. Commit to your hometown school, UNC. Go there for 3 years, ACC Freshman of the Year. I think you're ACC All-Second team. Then USC, where you redshirt after an injury, only play a little bit. Go back to UNC for your COVID year. Then you're drafted by the Sparks, played for Chicago and the Lynx as well. And then you also played in Australia, Bahrain, Spain, Mexico, New Zealand, Puerto Rico, and now Israel with Ashdod.
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
No, that's it. That's
nice.
it.
Yeah, I got it. Let's go.
This is worldwide.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how we like to start, we kind of try and start with like a little icebreaker. So what's the biggest lie that people believe about the pro women's basketball lifestyle?
Ooh, the biggest lie that people believe. What do people believe about women's pro basketball? I could say I think people back home don't have the full picture of just overseas basketball in general, and I think they think you're on vacation living overseas, when in reality there's so many pros and cons to it. You're missing your family. There's just so much that comes with it, the pressures of being overseas. So it's not just some overseas vacation. You're actually working every single day. So I think that's the biggest one that comes to mind.
So take us back to the beginning. You know, when the ball was first put into your hand, where did the love of the game come from?
My family. I have 2 older brothers that played. My dad played, so I just kind of come from a basketball family. He was always coaching us, so I grew up going to my older brother's practices, and then, I try to jump in when I can. And then as I got older and was really able to do their practices until I was able to be on my own team. So I think just having it so deep instilled in my family just made me want to get into it too.
Before basketball came around, what was it like to be Stephanie Watts before you became the player?
What's crazy is I started playing basketball at 5 years old. But I mean, and as much as I'm so basketball oriented, my life has been so much basketball. My dad has always never made that our identity in our life. So I grew up just living, playing for fun like anybody else. So I just was never super overly serious, I worked really hard and did as much as I could, but it never stressed me or overtook my whole life.
So basketball being such a big part of your life, going to Weddington High School, what was that like? What was your high school experience like playing basketball?
High school was good. I played on the local team. My dad was the coach for 3 years, or for most of my life growing up. I played for my dad on a local team, but we ended up doing really well in a lot of national tournaments. And then for my last year, I went to a more globally renowned team, Boo Williams out of Virginia, played for him. And then I think that's what helped me get a lot of national exposure for McDonald's, Jordan Brand, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Did you feel extra pressure coming? A lot of times we hear about coaches' kids and how it affects them, and they feel that there's so much weight on their shoulders because they have to live up to that expectation. Do you feel like that was an expectation set for you, or was it more of just this was an awesome thing to play for my dad?
That's definitely a thing, but for me, my dad is so hard work oriented, but at the end of the day, every single day, he'd be just have fun. It's, you're not gonna do well anyway if you're not having fun. So his main thing was always just have fun. He instilled that in my entire team. So our big thing was we win, we go out and have a good time. We lose, we go out and we have a good time. So it's just nobody really had too much pressure, so I didn't feel too much. I was just thankful to play for my dad. He's my best friend, so being around him and having him be my primary trainer growing up was amazing for me.
And being in North Carolina growing up, you go to Virginia for your senior year, get more exposure, you become the McDonald's All-American that you were. When you heard that UNC wanted you to come play for them back at home, what was that like, and actually committing to UNC?
It was amazing. Like I was recruited by a lot of schools, and UNC was a little bit later to offer, but I had already told my family, like, as soon as UNC offers, like, I'm taking it. So I committed to UNC, I think, like, either my sophomore year or going into my sophomore year of high school. So I committed super early, but like my whole family knew as soon as UNC offers me, like, that's where I'm gonna go to school. So it was amazing for me. Like, my family was at every single game, so like I think that's unique to the college experience. I was able to go home a lot, so I was thankful for that, and it was amazing for me.
You said it came late. Were you like waiting for the UNC call?
Yeah, cause I went on a visit there, and like the recruiting coordinator, like, she brought me in, and I think she like was kind of under the impression that they were gonna give the offer that day. But when I talked to the coaches, I was just kind of like in a meeting with them, and like I was on a visit unofficially, and just kind of was going around campus. We sat down at the round tables, had an offer, or like had a visit, had a good conversation, but like they never offered. So then they would call me, but like it just wasn't as consistent as some of the other schools. So yeah.
You said this was your sophomore year of high school?
Yeah.
I love how this shows just the level of caliber of player that you are, that late to the game is a UNC offer your sophomore year.
I know. And I think it's just because I had offers from the other schools. Like, I was really interested in Maryland. I was interested in a lot of different schools. So, but I was waiting on the UNC offer.
So walk us through the recruiting process of being a freshman in high school getting these offers, and then also being a sophomore getting something like UNC.
Yeah. And what's crazy is teams would ask to come to my games in 8th grade, and my dad's like, that's entirely too soon. Like, he didn't even let schools come in 8th grade because he's like, this is crazy. Like, you're like, play basketball and have fun. So once I got to high school, that's when like a lot of coaches were flying in for my high school games, and that was a lot of fun. I appreciated that. I met a lot of amazing coaches. But I knew, like, at the end of the day, once UNC offered, like, that's where I wanted to go to school. It was 2 hours from my hometown. I wanted my family to come to all of my games. That was super important to me. So. Yeah.
So you finish high school and you go over to Chapel Hill, right? Mm-hmm. And you're in this huge campus, and you're playing for UNC finally. You know, what was that first home game like, having your family come out and like play for UNC?
It was crazy. I was so nervous. I think I played terrible my first game, actually. But I think I shot for like 2 hours before the game because I was just like so nervous, wanted to be perfect. And what was crazy about my freshman year, there was the #1 recruiting class in the country that was there, the class before me. The whole class transferred right before I got there. So I came in playing like 40 minutes a game as a freshman. I was so nervous. So my first few games, like, I just was so tight and so nervous, like all my family at the game playing for UNC. I just really wasn't in rhythm. But then as time went throughout the season, I started to really find it. So.
Did you, at any point, being committed so early on to UNC, as you said, they had the #1 recruiting class coming in, at any point were you wavering in the sense of saying, maybe that's not my spot, maybe I got to find somewhere else? Or was it always UNC, UNC, UNC?
What's crazy is I never even thought twice about that. Like,
wow.
It was just kind of like, I'm going to UNC. If I'm coming off the bench learning from these guys, that's amazing. We'll go like try to win a national championship if that's the plan. Like, let's do it. So, but when they left, it was like the level of the team went down a little bit just because you're playing so many freshmen off the rip. But at the same time, I had so much opportunity for growth, so I was thankful in that way.
So you played 3 years at UNC, and you were all UNC, UNC, UNC. What made that change that made you want to go to USC for a year?
So I had a knee surgery while I was there my sophomore year, and I had an extra year of eligibility, and I wanted to get my master's, and USC had a 1-year master's program that I really wanted to do too. So I was kind of thinking outside of basketball as well with that.
So talk us through, you mentioned the knee injury. Talk us through the injury, what happened?
Yeah, so it was actually like a build-up type of injury. So I had a tear in my cartilage that they say like happened over time, so it wasn't just like a impact injury. So when they told me I had to have the surgery for that, they were saying it was going to be a really extensive one, which was tough because I had never like missed a game from an injury before. Like, this was my first injury, and of course it was a major one. So it was tough. They say people have a hard time coming back from cartilage injuries. So it was a year out. It was really rough on my mental, physical. So, but I was young. So once I came back, like, I knew I just wanted to hop back into it. So it was okay.
How'd you kind of stay level with the mental? You know, you said it's so hard mentally, and a lot of players that we talk to, some of them have to go through these really hard injuries. Some of them have to go through 2-month injuries. No matter what it is, injuries are tough on the mental game as well.
Yeah.
So how'd you kind of stay level during those times?
I think for me, the main thing was knowing that it was going to be a process and just to do a little bit more each day. Like when I had my knee injury, I had to, I don't even know if they have this anymore, if they do this or it was just my injury, but I had to be like on a leg machine that would like bend and open my leg for 8 hours a day. So like, but like in the beginning, my leg would only bend like this much. So it would be bending, but barely. So I would have to do this for 8 hours a day. And then the next day, it would bend just a little bit more. So just knowing, like, appreciating the small steps for me was big. So it's just like, even though I'm not walking, like my knee's bending a little bit more. So like appreciating like the little steps in each day to know that that's what's going to get you back on the court.
Was USC more of a academic year for you? What was that like since you had to redshirt there and you didn't actually get a real chance to play for USC?
Definitely an academic year for me because I only played maybe like 4 or 5 games before I had to have another knee surgery there. So I got my master's. It was a rigorous program, a 1-year master's degree, but I'm so thankful for it. But I just took that as an opportunity to get my education for sure.
What did life look like for you with basketball not being your main focus? You know, you've grown up in the spotlight, you've grown up playing basketball since you were young, dad as a coach, highly recruited, and then you have this year where you play 4 games. What is life like for you? What does this look like?
I was doing different things. Like I was trying to really explore outside of basketball. So like I was going to different production companies. I'd like learn different like things I wanted to do outside of basketball, worked on my master's. So I think I just took it as a year to find myself outside of basketball. So I was thankful for that year actually.
Anything you found interesting that you kind of might like to do once you're done with basketball?
Looking into a few things, like I got into training, like I really enjoy training kids, so maybe coaching down the line. I got into a little bit of sports analyst, so like talking about that maybe down the line. So a few things that definitely interest me.
It's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
then after you get your master's, which is a huge accomplishment, congrats for getting that, you go back to UNC, do
Correct.
another year, and you end up playing a 4th season there. I think you averaged about 15, 16 points a game throughout your 4 seasons at UNC. What was that like going back and having that final year, getting back on that court back at home?
It was good. I think it was up and down though. So like coming off another injury was like, it was rough. So to start the season, I just wasn't like finding my rhythm as quickly as I thought I would. And just it was an up and down year. I started off the season really slow. I was nervous because coming off an injury, you're like, okay, am I the same player? Am I gonna have the same explosiveness? Am I gonna be able to like find my spots on the floor the same as what I was before? So I started off the season super slow, and like I'm missing a lot. I'm supposed to be a 3-point shooter. I think the first 4 or 5 games I didn't like make a 3, maybe 1 or 2 or something. It was crazy. So my coach actually brought me off the bench for a few games, which was insane. So
How was that for you coming off the bench?
Not insane like from her perspective, but insane in the sense that, you know, I was a senior, I was supposed to be a really big key player on the team, and I just wasn't finding my rhythm coming off an injury. So and then I kind of just started, like things started picking up slowly but surely. So I was super grateful for that. Ended up being drafted 10, and I mean, I think that just shows you like how things can turn around. Like when I first came back, I was like, I wonder if I can still play at this level, at the level I thought I could. And I think it was just a gradual process in finding my rhythm. So I think it's knowing after injuries, it's not going to always be that quick start, and it's just finding your rhythm on the court again.
Speaking of being drafted, so when did you start thinking about going pro? When, like, you know, you played like all, you know, 5 years, but when did you start first thinking to yourself that the pro move is what you want to do?
That's tough because like in my life, like I've always kind of been like present in where I'm at in that moment. So in high school, I was never like too much thinking about like college until that next step came. So when I got to college, like I was never really thinking about that step until maybe agents started calling me and they're like, I want to represent you. You know, I think you're going to be a really high draft pick, da 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 da. And I'm just thinking to myself like, am I? Like, I mean, I don't know. But I think when I started seeing my name on different draft boards and a lot of agents were calling me wanting to represent me, then I started looking more into that next step. But it wasn't something that's always been on my mind.
So you hear your name at draft night, 10th overall. What was that like?
And I'm so like, I don't want to say that I'm very confident in myself, but at the same time, I didn't know like if I was even going to be drafted. Like people kept saying it, and I would see my name on some draft boards, but some draft boards not at all. Some draft boards kind of high. So I'm just like, I don't really know what the circumstances are going to be. A few teams told me they were going to draft me, but I'm like, you never really know what's going to happen. So LA told me they were going to take me at 10. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anybody because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's actually going to happen. So, and I was even hesitant to invite people to my draft party because I was like, I don't really know if this is going to happen. So I only invited my closest friends. And I was just so thankful that like all the hard work paid off after a few knee surgeries, not knowing if I was going to continue basketball and then being drafted. It was just a beautiful moment for me, and I was so thankful.
So what's something about, you got drafted 10th, right? And for all different types of circumstances, you're LA, Chicago, waived by the Lynx. What's something about the WNBA lifestyle that looks glamorous from the outside that might not be so glamorous?
A lot, for sure. Like when I played in Los Angeles, our training facility, our team training facility was like a LA Fitness type gym. Like literally I'm in the locker room with Candace Parker, all of these big time players, and we're across from ladies about to go do their aerobics in the swimming pool. Like there's one court downstairs. It's not a whole bunch of courts. So it's just like if the vets are shooting on the court, like you're over with for today. You don't have a place to shoot. So it's just kind of like there's not facilities for a lot of these teams. And I think it's growing and doing better. But when I was there, you would think there's so much more to it and that there's these facilities. Like we didn't even have a locker to leave our things in. We had to take our stuff with us. We were just in a public gym, public locker room. So I think that's one thing that people don't know about.
Wow.
For sure.
Yeah, that's something that's kind of insane. I grew up in Chicago, and you played for Chicago, and I would always see the Chicago Sky playing at the Sac Center, which was the practice there, and we would play pickup before the practices, and it was always like so interesting to me of like, you guys need your own space, you need your own arena. This is insane. So that's always something that I think people don't really see about WNBA, but also you being number 10 overall pick, you having this pressure.
Oh my gosh, wait, I'm so sorry. I said Los Angeles. That was Chicago.
Chicago.
Los Angeles was a little bit better. We were at a sports facility, but Chicago was when we were in the center.
Yeah, so yeah, that makes total sense.
So yeah, I mixed it up.
But so you being the number 10 overall pick, I mean, you had this pressure. You were ranked super highly as a recruit. You were a McDonald's All-American, all the accolades. And then getting that number 10 overall pick label on you, what kind of pressure did that bring?
Definitely a lot of pressure, because when you're drafted in the WNBA, sometimes you're drafted to a full roster, so you're having to take someone's spot out of college who's already been in the league for a few years, so it's tough. It's not like there's just a spot waiting for you to help you grow and develop. It's like you're playing every preseason game hoping to take somebody's spot on the team, so it's tough.
You spoke about playing with Candace Parker, Did you ever think about WNBA players growing up, who they were, and then like you find yourself playing alongside them?
Like if anyone asked me growing up, Candace was one of my favorite players. So it's just, I have a poster of her. So it's crazy to look up, and this is one of my teammates who's like, instilling life in me during the games, hyping me up when, she's out here, our best leading scorer, one of the best players in the league. So it was amazing, like playing alongside someone like that was a huge role model for me growing up.
Yeah, and like she does the whole broadcasting thing now as well. Talk about like her knowledge of the game.
Seeing it like up front in person was just different. Like she's a player and a teammate, but she's also a coach wherever she's at. So she's kind of like helping facilitate the offense, run the things, maybe tweaking things in a play. Like she's very hands-on and just an amazing player. Even seeing her play in person is different than on TV. Seeing everything she can do at her size, the handle she has, the skill she has, the shot she has. She's running the PG dang near at her height and size is just amazing to see up in person.
What was the biggest level? I mean, you playing with someone like that, there had to have been almost like a culture shock with it. But what was the biggest difference in the basketball levels between playing at UNC and then going and playing in the WNBA?
The difference is in college, you're playing on a team full of really good players, right? And then when you get to the WNBA, all the very best players from those teams, and not even all of them obviously make it, but the very best players, that's all put into one group, right? And then all of the WNBA vets, Hall of Famers, you're playing against them every single night. And then the WNBA, there's only 12 teams, so every roster is just like heavy hitters in every single spot. So there's no days off, even the rotations. Every time someone subs in, it's another great player. So it's
Right.
just great playing against, there's no days off for sure.
Which is super underrated.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's a hot topic in the past years about NBA, WNBA. So the business that nobody really wants to talk about, what's like the biggest financial misconception that people have about WNBA players?
Financial misconception that people have about WNBA players. I think people understand that like the league is not making, I think, what they're deserving of at this very moment. But at the same time, I think people think that the WNBA thinks that they need to be paid as much as NBA players, and that's like not at all the argument. The argument is just a higher percentage of revenue shares. So I think that's where people get it wrong a little bit.
It's very interesting. And, you know, a lot of WNBA players, even when they're still playing in the WNBA and they have a current contract, they go and they play overseas in the winter. So why don't you kind of talk about that? I think that's something that not a lot of people understand, is that you can't kind of necessarily live just off of the WNBA contract, and you might need to also have another contract in the winter in your WNBA offseason.
It's rough because I think that's why players end up with so many injuries, is because you're having to do these back-to-back seasons. So it's like you play a full WNBA season and then you're having to go straight overseas, and then you come right back and you're right back into training camp. So even the times I've left overseas and went to training camp, I've flown straight to training camp. So it's tough even trying to make a roster when you're like coming straight from an overseas and then having to go straight into another season. It's tough on players' bodies, it's tough on their mental, never having that little time off. So it's rough that a professional level athlete has to do that.
What are your thoughts on the new leagues like Unrivaled coming in and providing? I might be mistaken, but I think they provide pretty good financial incentive, and they're actually paying a really good percentage.
Yeah.
What do you think of these leagues coming in as an answer?
I think it's amazing to see the women's game grow and to have like multiple options throughout the U.S. for people who maybe don't want to go overseas. I think it's beautiful that they're giving women an option to stay in the U.S. So that's an amazing alternative.
Your first time, you know, going overseas, you get off that plane super far away from home, you know,
Yeah.
what's running through your mind? You're like, wow, I'm like so far away from home. This isn't just a vacation. I'm about to live here for a while. What's going through your mind at that stage?
Yeah, so my first time going overseas was in Australia, and I just remember it being like almost a day opposite. So I'm just like, I'm discombobulated, and then I get there and it's COVID, so I had to stay in a hotel room for 2 weeks, couldn't leave the hotel. So then that on top of it being my first time like for an extended period living overseas. So I think at first it's a lot of fun, you're hanging out, you're exploring, and then I think as time goes you realize like how homesick you kind of do get from the experience. So
When did you start first thinking about overseas? Was it from the get-go in college you were looking at all your options? Because it does seem a little bit more normalized, unfortunately, because of the financial situations in the WNBA, that people do go overseas. Was this a thought of yours for a while, or was it more after kind of your WNBA stint you were looking for your next option?
I think it was always a thought of mine. Like for me, I always knew I wanted to go overseas.
And then, you know, what was a time where maybe, I don't know, if you maybe like picked the right situation over necessarily like the more money, you know, like sometimes a contract might look bigger, but maybe the coach doesn't vibe with you as much, or the team is in a different country that you're not really so down to go to. So did you ever have to pick the right situation over a bigger bag?
For sure, but like even coming back to Israel this season, I was gonna go to Spain this year and play on a team right outside of Marbella, Spain. So it was just, I love Spain. I had played there for 2 seasons, but I ended up coming back just because we had just came off winning a cup, winning a championship, and I knew the coaches, I knew the players that I was going to be playing with, and I knew that I liked the lifestyle in Israel. Having a lot of friends out here makes being away from home just a little bit easier, so I knew I was comfortable here, which is why I ultimately made the decision to come back.
For sure, and we want to talk about Israel, but like we said earlier, you know, you went over to Australia for your first stint. Then you went over to Bahrain, right? And we said that was playoffs.
Playoffs,
so
yeah.
Bahrain, you said, New Zealand and Mexico were just playoffs.
In Puerto Rico.
And Puerto Rico were just playoffs.
Yeah.
So we talked about already having to go to different places and having to do season after season after season. So talk about having to go somewhere, totally random place, and be there for 2 weeks just to join a team that you're not familiar with, don't know the people there. You know, what's that like? And talk us a little bit through each place that you went to.
Yeah, so going somewhere for playoffs, I think it's a blessing, but it's definitely tough because you have to come in not knowing the full situation, not knowing who you're playing with, and come in and kind of like be that thing that a team needs to help propel them to win a championship. So they're hoping that you can just come in off the bat and help them. So Bahrain was an amazing experience for me. I think I was there maybe like 12 or 13 days. They put me on this beautiful resort. It was really, really nice. I enjoyed my time there. The people were super welcoming. And then on the court, they just helped me fit in easy. Like from the start, they put in a few plays for me and we ended up winning the championship. So it was good. I'm not like, I think for me, like playing sometimes like after a full season and then going into a full summer is a lot. So I was thankful to just be able to come in for the playoffs and do that bit of work for the summer. So
you were like the missing piece for them that year.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess if you want to look at it that way, it was a beautiful experience. Like Bahrain was probably one of the best places I've ever been. Just how welcoming the people were, how kind they were. And then with basketball, the league isn't as high level at all. But they bring in pretty good Americans for every team for the playoffs and just try to, you know, see what they can do for the championship. So I was thankful. We celebrated the championship together and then back home in 2 weeks. So it was cool.
What does job security look like for a professional basketball player on the women's side with all of this going for playoffs here, signing with this team there? What does job security feel like and what does it mean?
I think job security for women's basketball, I don't know. It's not that much of it. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty confident. So like, I know like if one team ain't the right fit, like another team will be. So like, I'm comfortable and I'm confident in that sense. But I think even in Israel, like teams switch out players like left and right, like very, very commonly. So I wouldn't say that there's a lot of job security at all. But
so you do end up playing though in Spain for a little bit.
Yeah.
Walk us through what your Spain life was like, what playing in Spain with those. You played for 2 years there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of job security, like a tiny bit.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say job security. Like I signed for a team and then the next year I signed to a different team. So I could have went back to the same team, but yeah, I think it just depends on you though. Like if I have a really good season, I assume a team's going to offer me for another contract, or but at the same time, if you have a really good season, you're hoping to go to a team that has a little bit of a bigger budget too. So I think, but at the same time, if you have a bad season, then teams are probably not calling your phone. So it's just, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if you have job security, but if you're working hard and doing what you need to do on the court, you'll be okay.
So was it kind of like, it wasn't the same team, but it was the same league? Same league, right?
Correct.
So was it kind of like they kind of saw you feeling comfortable in Spain? Did you feel comfortable in Spain on the court, also off the court? What was it like in Spain?
I love Spain. It was like, I think Spain, like the biggest takeaway I had like off the court was just slowing down. Like it's just like, cause in the US we're running from point A to point B all day, every day. In Spain, it's like from 2 to 5 o'clock, it's siesta. Like we're going home, we're taking a nap, like we're outside, like drinking wine, having a beer. Like they take it easy. They're not like rushing from point A to point B at all times. So I think that was my biggest takeaway from Spain, was just slowing down and just enjoying life. So I love Spain, and I had so many like amazing insights being there.
So from Spain, you end up going to Israel, is that correct, after Spain?
Yeah.
So after Spain, you come to Israel. You started your stint in Israel with the Ramat Sharon, and then you got traded or you got bought out by Ashdod.
Yeah.
And with Ashdod being such a well-known team, you know, in overseas basketball for women, going to that organization and that also being the one team that you've gone back to, talk about playing for Maccabi Ashdod.
Man, last year was probably my favorite overseas season. I mean, like, the team, we meshed perfectly on and off the court. I think like in pro basketball, it's so common that like you could be on a really good team, but then like there's so many people beefing or something, or like you're on a bad team, but everybody gets along. Like you kind of have to pick and choose. With like last year, like we were amazing on the court, we were amazing off the court. Everybody got along, won the cup, won the championship. Like we just clicked that team. So it was so amazing that's why this is the first time I've signed back to a team, and I just felt like it was the right thing to do just because of the chemistry we had.
So you're in Spain, right? This is 2024, right? You come for your first time to Israel in 2024.
So I was in Israel for like 2 weeks before the war started.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was with Petah Tikva, and I ended up leaving once the war started, though. So I was here for a few weeks, and then I ended up going to Spain.
Oh, so this is before your contract, before you even started playing in Spain.
So I was in Spain, decided to come to Israel, was here for 2 weeks, and then the
Wow.
war started. So then that's when I ended up leaving, and then I ended up going to a team in Spain.
So you come to Israel, and you're playing with Petah Tikva. War breaks out, kind of. Well, not kind of.
Fully.
War breaks
Fully.
out, and then that must have been scary. Like you're just playing basketball, and you come to another country, and then this happens, and it's not in your control. Talk us kind of through those moments, and then kind of having to find another contract to go somewhere else.
Yeah, it was an experience for sure. I just remember when it happened, I think people back home didn't realize as bad as it was right away. So I was really nervous about the situation. And then when they started ramping up the coverage everywhere, my family back home was really frantic, really nervous. The first few days, people couldn't really get flights out. So they ended up like 3 or 4 days later just having to send me to Ethiopia just to get away. So it was scary for sure, like not being from here, not really knowing the situation, being very new out here. So it was nerve-wracking. The last thing on my mind was like another contract. I was like, I just want to go home. But after that, my agent made some calls, found me a really good situation in Spain, and it was all good. But yeah.
So you go to Spain, and then you're getting another contract in Israel, and you were just in a situation where like you were so worried about getting out of Israel. So what made you want to decide to come back to Israel after that whole entire thing?
Because I loved it out here, but at the same time, that situation particularly, obviously, it was just best for everybody to leave at that time. But I knew I really enjoyed Israel. I enjoyed the style of basketball. It's very up and down. I enjoy the lifestyle outside of basketball. So I knew it was somewhere that I'd want to be in the long run, but my family was definitely nervous for me to re-sign back. So they were hoping that I made different decisions, but I kind of just went with my gut on it.
So now walk us through, you come back to Israel, you're here, you're having a great time. Walk us through what having a full season in Israel was like.
Yeah, because my first full season in Israel, everyone's like, I never heard of a trade in overseas basketball. So like Ashdod and like Ramah Hasharon, we like swapped players. So like they took a player from my team and got a player, obviously me, to their team. So everyone's like, wait, what's going on? Like a mid-season trade. So that was my first experience in Israel, but I was thankful for it because it ended up being the perfect situation last season. So I was thankful for it, but it was definitely like just an interesting first experience in Israel, but I enjoyed it very much, for sure.
You talked about on the court clicking, but also off the court clicking. Being in Ashdod, you got a beach over there. Talk about like off the court life in your first year outside.
Ashdod's amazing. Like as soon as I came there for the first time, I was like, wow, like we literally live on the water. There's so many beautiful cafes, just little beach areas, hangouts. Like that's just my vibe completely. Good weather, like walk outside and you're on the beach or at like a little coffee shop. So Ashdod owes me nothing. Like it's been so beautiful and I'm thankful for it. Like 110%.
Do you feel like Israel is, like sometimes what we hear is that Israel's closest to American like culture and home. Do you feel like it's helped with that homesickness a little bit?
Yeah, just because it's, I always say that, it feels like home to me. Like it's very similar. Like in Spain it's beautiful but very different at the same time. Like here it's beautiful but it gives like Miami, LA vibes. Like it's cool out here. So I enjoy myself. It's not too different. Obviously you're still missing the family, but at least everything's close to. Like in Spain it's like you could have other friends playing in Spain but they might be 6 hours away. In Israel it's like everyone kind of like can meet up and do different things together. So it's cool.
And you touched on it a little bit, but you know, it was a great season, not just off the court, also on the court. You guys won the cup. You guys won a bunch of games. What was that like, having so much success on the court?
It was, I mean, we were all super excited. It was amazing. And to do that with that group who I loved them and cared about them all as people, and then to do what we did on the court, it was an amazing experience. By far one of my favorite overseas seasons.
So we're going to take a little break. We're going to do a little segment that we like to call, it's called Myth or Fact. Okay, so it's going to be a little just questions. You can say if it's a myth or a fact and elaborate a little bit.
Okay.
So I'll start it off. Myth or fact? If you're a first round pick, your career is set.
Myth. 100% myth. Like you're literally any draft pick. Like actually, I think it would be fair to say that most draft picks my year did not remain on a roster the entire season. So even a lot of first round picks. So it's definitely not guaranteed in women's basketball to be on a roster just because you're picked.
So myth or fact, overseas is easier than the WNBA?
Overseas.
Thinker.
Overseas. Say it again.
Overseas is easier than the WNBA.
Myth. You're just dealing with so many things. You might not have everything you need to be successful, and you're just kind of trying to make the best out of situations. You're missing your family. I think it's just so different. So.
That's a good take. So, myth or fact? Confidence matters more than skill at the pro level.
Can I say something in the middle? Because confidence is a big thing, and like if you're on a team and it's not a good fit and you're not confident, you're not going to play well. But at the same time, if you're not putting in the work and you're not like your skills aren't where they need to be and you're not staying sharp, you're not going to be doing what you need to do on the court anyway. So I'll say.
So we'll say a little bit of both.
I'm going in the middle on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So myth or fact, if you don't play in the WNBA, people think you didn't make it.
I don't know what people think, but I'd say myth, because there's a lot of really good hoopers who have never played in the WNBA, so for sure.
Then the last one, myth or fact? Being overseas makes you mentally tougher than staying home.
Fact. To be overseas, you have to have a different mental level to stay overseas and make it overseas, because at certain points you want to crash. Your morale is low because you're missing family, and to stay like dedicated and to really stay sharp and to stay working hard throughout the whole season, yeah, that takes a lot of mental effort for sure.
Speaking of mental effort, what's something that like American players misunderstand about playing overseas?
Like people who haven't done it yet?
Yeah.
Misunderstand about playing overseas. I think it's just you're having to make the best out of whatever situation you're in. You're going into a lot of situations like with a lot less information. So you're hopping around to a team in Spain. You're not 100% sure of the playing styles. You don't know the players that you're going to be playing with. And it's like each season, 9 times out of 10, you're going to a different team and you have to make it work with whatever situation you're in. Like you have to really just make the best out of it. And sometimes you go into a situation and say it's not exactly what you wanted. You really still have to do whatever you can to make the best out of this situation to have a better future situation. So, yeah.
So going a little bit back to a night that you talked about, your first night at home in UNC, you know, you had a bit of a tough night. So what's some self-talk that you do after like a bad shooting night?
I think for me, it's like just trusting my work. I know I put in the work. I work really, really hard. And so for me to like doubt myself is not an option. So I know like if I have a bad shooting night, like chances are like the next night it's going to be on, because you're not going to be in a slump forever. So I think for me, it's just knowing that like it happens. It's basketball. It's a game of like ups and downs. You're going to have a good night. You're going to have a bad night. And that's just part of the game. And you have to accept that, because if you're stressed out every time you have a bad night, like the bad days are going to last longer.
What are some lessons that basketball has taught you that you bring into other aspects of your life?
Lessons that basketball have taught me. So much, wow. I think the main thing for me is lessons that basketball has taught me is, for me, it's resilience. It's just, sometimes it's tough, like when you're maybe not in the situation you want to be in, or you're coming off an injury, or just different things don't go your way, but it's just like finding the mental strength to push through regardless of the situation. And I think that's helped me in life, because in life, like, life's not always going to go your way. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, but I think just staying level and making the best of whatever situation you're in is super important.
Talking about making the best of situations, you know, after you left Israel because of the war and then coming back, what's like some expectations that you had and then kind of got surprised about once you actually got here and had that full year?
I think playing the full season, it was tough, because in Spain, okay, you're playing like 20 something minutes a game. In Israel, like, you're playing the full 40 every single night, and it's tiring. Like Americans in the women's side.
You're not sitting?
No, in Americans in the women's side, you're most likely you're playing close to 40 minutes every single night,
Wow.
so it's a lot on your body, I think, is like the first thing that comes to mind for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you're talking like 1 game a week or 2 games a week?
1 to 2 games a week.
And you on a double week, you're still playing 40 minutes a game?
36, 37.
Damn.
Wow.
So how's that been like on your, like, just physically and also mentally to play so many minutes? You don't really hear that in a lot of, like, anywhere, you know?
It's different. That's why when I got here, I was like, oh, whoa, like, you're working really, really hard. And I mean, it gets you in shape for sure, but it's tough. Like, it's just like to really have to score the ball and then have to go guard the other team's best player. Like, you're really working hard night in and night out, so you have to be in great shape to do it for sure.
I think something that interests a lot of people, you know, we always ask a lot about overseas basketball and what it's like off the court, stuff like that. Being in Israel, just talk about possibly just this year, maybe. What's like your day-to-day routine kind of look like, either on a game day or even a practice day? I think some people kind of get interested in that because, you know, if you're in the States, it can be very different. You know, you can go to your Lifetime, you can go to your Sweet Greens, you can do Chipotle, you know, whatever. A lot of people understand it, but when you go overseas and you might not be so familiar, especially when you're going to so many places, you know, and like we said, the ball takes you all over the place. So what's kind of a day-to-day routine look like for you?
Yeah. So on a game day, we'll have shoot around at like 9 in the morning. We'll watch a little bit of film maybe, then we'll go to the court, shoot around, go over a few of the other teams' like offenses, get some more shots up. After that, we'll do like a team breakfast, go all together somewhere to eat. Then I'll go home, sleep for a little bit, take a nap, make something to eat, and then depending on if it's home or away, then I'll like get my life together and head to the game. But yeah, on a game day, that's pretty much it. Pretty simple, basic.
What's something off the court in Israel that became really normal to you very quickly?
Every Friday being a holiday, Shabbat dinner, I'm like, this is great. Everything is closed every single Friday is like, was crazy to me when I got out here, but now I love it. I love Fridays and Shabbat dinners and going to different people's homes and trying things. Like, I love that.
Have the fans and the team embraced you in that way and invited you
For
to all
sure.
the Shabbat dinners?
Yes.
What has that been like?
Yeah, amazing. Like, I love going to my teammates' houses. Our fans are amazing. And just friends I've made in Israel. I think it's just amazing that they're just so open to bringing you into their home and having you have dinner with their family. Like, I think it's beautiful that they do that. And I think that they get together every Friday with their whole entire family, like, is beautiful to me. So it's something that I want to take back home and just make sure I'm, you know, doing the same thing with my family, so.
That's amazing. So as we kind of wrap up, you know, what's some advice that you might have for a teenage girl right now looking to kind of get inspired to continue her dream of playing in the WNBA?
To continue her dream of playing in the WNBA. I think it's just like working really, really hard and focusing on your day-to-day and not always the big picture, right? Because I think when you're too focused on the big picture and your end goal, you miss steps in your day-to-day that you need to do to get there in the first place. So just trust your work, make sure that you're doing the work in the first place, And that'll put you one step closer every single day that you're working hard.
It's amazing. Maybe one day we'll have a girl from Ashdod tell us how they had a Stephanie Watts poster in her room and they ended up playing together.
And they came to Ashdod. They saw their championship poster in the locker room.
Exactly. So now thank you for coming on the show. Before we wrap up entirely, we do this little segment. It's a shot clock segment. We're just going to do rapid fire questions. You answer quick, you can pass, and let's see how many you can get.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
One teammate who changed how you see the game.
Candace Parker.
The toughest arena you played in.
Ashdod.
Hardest part of being away from home.
Family.
One skill you added that going pro that fans don't notice.
Mid-range.
Shawarma or falafel?
Falafel.
Favorite Hebrew word?
Shliha.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
That's awesome. All right, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on the show. This is the Baseline Podcast, brought to you by Athletes for Israel. And good luck in the rest of the season. Hopefully back-to-back championships.
That's the plan. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.